morning everyone. My name is Laura Stranks and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Welcome to my channel today. If it's the first time you're watching, love you to subscribe if you like what you see and give me the thumbs up. Just a couple of things before I start. I've got a Facebook group called Laura's Craft Room Tips and Tutorials. In there is all the PDFs for all the cards that I do on my YouTube channel, and also I do live videos on a Saturday morning that you're welcome to, if you're in the group, you're welcome to watch, craft along with me. The PDFs for those are also in the files tab in that group. It's quite a large group, so you do need to request to join. If you do decide to request, there are 2 questions there that you need to answer when you apply. One is why you wish to join the group, whether it be just for my tutorials or you want to share your projects. The other is that you agree to the rules of the group. They're fairly simple rules, that be kind and courteous and not to promote yourself in the group. It's just for sharing your craft in that group. I've also got a Facebook page called Cards by Laura. In there is just all the cards that I make through my classes and my workshops and any other cards that I do in the meantime as well. So with all that done, that's my intro for my channel today. We shall get started on this card. It's called a pop-up and pull-out fun fold. So it pops up this way and then you pull it out and it goes this way. I do a fun fold card class every third Sunday of the month. It's just 2 cards that we do. This is one of the ones that we did just recently, and I find it's an easy way to do this. It's got a little mechanism section in here that you need to cut. Not difficult to do at all, and it looks quite effective. Today I'm using one of the new DSPs from the new mini catalogue. It's called Nests of Winter. It's got a lot of birds on it. I do like the backings. I do like some of the bird ones. They're quite big birds, so when you do a card with smaller pieces on it, it's a little bit hard to get the birds in view. This one here is quite nice. It's quite Christmassy with the pine cones and the little berries. I didn't use that one. We've used that one on some other cards, but the birds are quite pretty. I love the backs of these, so I think I'd use the backs more than the fronts on those. That's some of the papers in the pack. This here I think would be more for scrapbooking type pages, but there are lots of pretty sort of muted neutral colours in the pack. So that's that one there, and I shall show you all the pieces that you will need to cut this. Now you can take a screenshot of this, or you can just I will put the measurements in the description box of this video today, and then the PDF will be, as I said before, will be in the files tab in my group. These are all the pieces you will need. Whoops, and I'm dropping one on the floor already. So I'll just start, I'll flip mine over because I've got them in the order the other way around. So your base, whatever colour you like, I've chosen the colours. This is, it's not Bermuda Bay, it's Coastal Cabana, the new one of the ones, the brights in the normal colour range in Stampin' Up. It measures 5.5 by 8.5. That's your base piece. DSP that goes on that, and I've chosen 2 patterns. I've chosen this one for my centre pattern, which is that one down the centre here, and then the 2 outside ones are the same. So you'll need 2 of these in different patterns, 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. Oh, yes, that's the DSP. There's no mats on these. I'm going to use this one here where the birds are showing all the way through, and then I'll use that one on the other side. This one here is also, it's the same colour as one of those, so that's that one there. it's 5 1/4 by 4, and they're all going on the base. We'll get to that in a minute. This one here, 3 1/2 by 3 1/2, which is this one, DSP. Yes, this one here. I'm going to diagonal cut. I'll just double check that's the right piece. Yes, 3 1/2. I'm going to diagonal cut that. It will be this piece in here when we cut it. That's that one there. And then the mats, all of the mats, 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. That's the one that's going underneath that, and I'll diagonal cut that. That goes in here, and it is attached to that little mechanism piece in the center. We'll get to that when we get to cut and score. 3 by 3, 2 of is, and these are both going to be diagonal cut. That's 3 by 3, 2 of. These are the mats. That's those two there. 3 by 3, yes, 2 of those. One is going in here, and the other one is, one's going to be diagonal cut, the other one's not, and I'll show you that in a minute. 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, the mats, that's these little square ones here, which are these two here, 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, and then basic white, I've got a 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and then 1 1/2, so there's 1 1/2 of, there's a full one, which is this one here, which is going over this side, over there, and then the half one, which I'm going to diagonal cut, it will be going over here. It'll all make sense when we get to the pieces. So there's 2 of those, but one of them I'm going to cut in half, and then 1 1/2 by 1 1/2, 2 of, that's these two little ones here, self-explanatory there, where they go on to the fronts of those. And then my back basic white, I've made it a little bit bigger, so that's probably not the right measurement. On the back I've put that one. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger at the back. I haven't put any stamping or anything on it, but that will go back there. That's for your writing mat. So that's all the pieces, and as I said, you can get them from either the description box or in my tabs file in the tips and tutorials page. So we'll put that aside and we shall get started. Now some of this we're going to adhere down first, and then we're going to do that little mechanism piece in the center. So I'll score this base first. We're scoring it in half and then half again back on itself, which my trimmer is here. So you've got 2 1/8 scoring on the long side, with the long side at the top. 2 1/8, which is 2 strokes past the 2 if you've got a Stampin' Up! Trimmer. 2 1/8, and 4 1/4, which is over there. So that's the scoring on that. And if you fold it in half, like so, bone folder, burnish that nicely, and then this one will go back on itself to make a Z fold. Give it a nice good burnish. So that's our base. So this one, this first piece of DSP at the beginning that I mentioned is going there. This one with the birds on is going there, and that one will go there. And we need to put these on before we do the cut in the center. So I'll just glue those down. We're into spring now, but we have had a burst of hot weather here in Brisbane. More like we missed spring and went straight to summer. We can't believe how hot it's been. Some of the days went up to early to mid-30s, which is not normal for winter or spring for that matter. So we're hoping it will cool down a little bit, so we have a little bit of spring. So just adhering these 3 down, If you do have directional paper, make sure you've got your direction running the correct way. I tried to get a piece of this so that the birds were showing in the centre. I could have used the smaller birds, but it was a little bit more Christmassy, which I didn't want. This is going to be a birthday card, so I didn't choose the other one with the pine cones on. So those three, like so, and I'm just going to let that sit for a minute before I do the cut, because I want that glue to fairly well dry before I do the cut. I don't want it tearing, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So we'll get some of these other pieces and we'll adhere them together. This one here, just making sure I get the right one. That's the one I'm diagonally cutting. We'll do that cut after. This one here will be going over here, like so. I can glue those two together. This one does have to have a little bit cut off. Just double check. Yes, that's the right size. This one will need to have a little bit cut off the one side of it, so it will fit in under that that panel. So I'll show you how to do that when we get to it. I do record my videos and then upload them to YouTube, only because it's convenient to me. I have so many things I have to do. I record quite often and then I upload to YouTube. So when while I'm recording this, it's not the day that you see it. You will see it in a week or so's time, but I prefer to do it that way. Just mount all these together because they're right to go once we get the mechanism cut. These little greetings are from the Labelled with Love. I've got the happy birthday here and enjoy your day. I use these little speckledy, there's little like presents and stars and things on that one. So I've used those as well. That's around the edges of that. I'll show you the stamp set that goes with this as well. The bird, I did colour this bird with my blends. So just be sure when you stamp these that you stamp them in a diamond shape. I know I did one a while ago now, and I was used to doing it in a square and then realised that it had to go into the diamond shape because that's how they're going to sit. And the same with this one. Winterly Treetops is the birds out of this one, and I did use this here on this pattern here. So that's out of that new set that goes with the paper. And there are dies in there. I don't think any of the dies cut out any of the paper. I did try and find one that would cut the paper. This frame here is quite nice with the leaves around, so I shall use that quite a bit. Now, I'm going to cut those separate, so we won't do those, and I'm going to cut these. That one will be cut as well, so we'll just leave all those for a minute, and we'll go back to this. Now, this is where we're going to do the cut, and I'll explain how it works. You do need to adhere those, all that DSP down first. So, with the card folded in half and the folded edge at the bottom, and you'll place the bottom of your trimmer, I'm reading it here, the left edge on the 1.5 inch mark. So 1.5 on this left edge. Make sure your fold's at the bottom, and that's on 1.5. So now you need to press your cutter probably a couple of times up and down, but press it quite firmly because you're cutting through 2 pieces of cardstock and 2 pieces of DSP. So you'll need to cut quite firmly. And place the cutter blade at the bottom, and you're going up 3/4 of an inch. Now I'll just stand up for this. This is 4 1/4 wide. So I'm going to cut up 3/4 of an inch, so that's up to the 3.5 inch mark. I'll move that one out of the road, so you can go from, I find it easier to go from here and just go up to 3.5, and I'm pressing quite firmly, and down again. We'll go up and down a couple of times just to make sure it's cut. Just double check it, which it hasn't quite gone through, so I'll just put that in there again. You could flip it over and do the other side, but I'll just keep going this way. We can snip it with our scissors as well. It is a fair bit to cut through, so I've pushed it quite hard. I'll snip the rest if it hasn't gone right through. Most of it has. Then you're going to move it across to 4 inch mark, and you're going to do the same. So it's over on 4 inches on your left edge. I'll move that down a little bit. 4 inches coming up here from the bottom and going up to 3.5, pressing firmly and down, 3.5 and down, and just open it up and double check that it's been cut. It does take, yes, that one is, and that one is. They're both cut right through, so just keep pressing quite firmly. So then with your card opened up and the left edge on 3.5, and you're going to score from cut to cut. So put your cutting blade out of the road. This is a scoring now. So it goes from the cut, which is 1.5, just double check, 1.5, down to the 4 inch. And you're going to score between cut to cut. Press quite firmly on that one. It's just scored. We'll give that. Actually, what I might do is use my ruler. You will get a better score. You can do it that way, but I will show you. I'll get my ruler and my stylus. Just put your ruler from the cut to the cut. This way you can press a lot firmer. So you're going to score between those two cut lines and then move over here. We'll turn that around from the cut to the cut. There. If you're doing it on your trimmer, it will be left edge on 3.5, that was the first one, and score from cut to cut, and then move across to 5 inches, which is the second score line, and score from cut to cut. So 3.5 and 5, and then they should be fine. You've got a lot better score if you do it with your ruler and a stylus. So what we need to do now is, I'll show you this one here. This centre score line here is going inwards and the two others are coming out. So that's gone in. So you need to just pinch those two score lines outwards. Might just put a little bit more adhesive. So these outer score lines will come up. Just a matter of manoeuvring it. Don't force it. That middle score line, I'm going to put a little bit more glue on there because I didn't quite glue it right down. Just pop a little bit under there. If you use your snail, you'll probably get it right down so it's stuck permanent. Just glue it a little bit more. So the outside score lines are coming up. These ones over here are coming up. It just needs a little bit of manoeuvring. There should be a score line there that's going that way. It's because it's going through quite a, it will manoeuvre itself eventually. So you've got a valley fold in here and mountains on the outside, if you can see that. And they will come up to mountains on that side. Give it a good press down. Burnish that. Burnish it quite well because it's quite thick to put it through. And that needs pressing down there. Got a little bit of glue there. All good. Make sure my birds are up the right way when I glue all this on, and that's how it should end up. If you can see that, you've got your little hinge down the centre. So we can decorate all of these now. We shall do this one first. This one here. We're going to diagonally cut this big one. And I will end up cutting some of the bird off, but that's okay. So this is 3.5, I think 3.5 by 3.5. 3 3/4, sorry, 3 3/4, 3 3/4 mat. Just make sure that you're cutting it at the right angle. So it will be it'll sit like so. So you're going to cut from this top corner down to here. Point to point in the trimmer, and always when I'm cutting on a diagonal from a point, I start in the middle. I don't start at the point because it will drag your cardstock. So that piece is going to go in on top of that hinge section. That piece will be spare, and this one here will be the same. Not sure how much of my birds I'm going to see. That's the trouble using big birds. I'll get this one full. So we'll go from this one to point. Just line it up on your mat so you know you're cutting the right way. We've got one and a head of a bird. That's okay. So that piece will go on there. You do need to cut them separate, otherwise this edge here will be on close to the edge, and you'll have a different border around. So we'll glue those two together. There are several ways to do this type of fold, but I prefer this one because I think it's quite neat when it's finished. So we've just got a little 1/16 border all the way around on that. Nice and even. And then this here is going to sit on, where am I? Over on here. No, not there. Over on here. Actually, I've got this the wrong way. That should come out, and these should go in. We'll re-burnish those. I've pulled that the wrong way. These come backwards. So reverse your folds. I'll go back there. They come down, and this one comes up. This middle one comes up. I'll need another burnish anyway. I'm just trying to see which way they go. They come down, this one comes up. Just takes a little bit of manoeuvring. I did burnish them the wrong way to start. Now I'm trying to push that up. So it will look like that from the back. I did have it the wrong way around to start, but you can always push it backwards. So you'll end up like that. That there will get covered like so. Then this sits on top of that hinge there. Make sure it's even top and bottom. We're just going to put some glue onto that piece there. It's good to burnish cardstock both ways, especially if you're doing a fold. All that will get covered eventually. So line this up, move that out of the road, line this up on top of that. So it goes from the DSP to the DSP there, and just gently fold that down flat. Give it a good press. And we'll cut the other pieces diagonally as well. So I've got part of my bird showing, which is what I wanted. And then this one, we'll do that one last. This one here we have to cut diagonal as well. this is the, I'll tell you the size, 3 by 3, and the white piece is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And I've marked on here which way to cut this one. I'll get our trimmer. I'm going to cut from point to point. I've only decorated the one side. If you decorate the whole piece and just cut it off, that's fine. I'm starting in the middle, as I told myself to do, and cut that. And the same with the mat. You can use these for scrap. They're quite big enough to still use for scrap. And then this one here will be diagonal cut as well. Piece of scrap. Then that will go on there. There's only one more piece to cut. We're going to adhere that down. With these little berries on this, I put a little bit of ink from my ink pad onto a block, and then, I don't know if you can see the sparkle on that, I use my Wink of Stella as a brush, and then use the block with the ink on, and just pick up the colour with my Wink of Stella and use it as a brush to colour my little berries. I was trying to use the entire stamp set, but the greetings on this stamp set really didn't suit what I was doing. Now I've got this one up on dimensionals because it's going to sit down that side level with that DSP on the side. I'm going to put these smaller ones on first at the top, so they will line up on that score line at the top, going right from the top of the card. If you can see that, it's right up the top there. So I'm going to put those on, and I only want glue on half of it, so I'm going to flip it this way, line it up with the score line, hold that there, and just put glue over this side. So you don't want glue on the other side, or otherwise it's going to stick to the wrong section of your card. And then we can flip it back and it'll be the right way. Place that on the point of the score line there and down on the score line here, and adhere that down. These are just flat, not up on dimensionals. Just pull that over. That's that one. And we can do the bottom one the same way. Flip it over, line it up with your points on the score line, put a little bit of glue down this side. Don't get glue over there, Laura. Line that back up with your score line on the points and adhere that down. Then this one will slot in like so. It's easier to get those two in first and then line this one up. And I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of this just to give it a little bit of detail. And as everyone knows, I like my dimensionals, so I use quite a few because I like the whole thing sitting up nicely. Take the backs off those. We need to put the back writing panel on as well. That'll be the last. Now this one, it lines up with the DSP out here, and if you get an even border down in here, it will, actually we might have to move it over a fraction. You don't want it protruding over that score line, so make sure it's back. So this one's going, I'm not sure why it ended up different, but that's okay. It'll end up equal with the outside edge, so that's not on the score line. Just move that up a little bit and out a little bit. So the point there is pointing directly to the score line. And that will sit down like so. Goes nicely with the rest of that paper. This one here, it needs to go in here. And as you'll see, it's too long sticking out this way. So what I do, I'm flipping it, I flip it this way and line it up in there so that it's pushed in where you want it. We'll just level that up there. And the point is in there as far as it can go. And this will judge how much you need to cut off over here. So I'm just going to use my pencil. And it won't matter if you take a little bit extra because you don't want this point will end up out here. So I'm just going to mark that. And as you'll see, I'll just double check to make sure. Yes, so that's the piece I'm cutting off. Just double check and make sure you've got the right corner that you're cutting off. And my trimmer right here. So I'm just lining up those two pencil lines and cut that whole piece off. So that will fit in underneath. Otherwise it's going to stick out. Put it on the correct card. So when you go this way, and this is just flat, and if you put it level like so, we're going to put the glue on the back of that. Everything's done in an order for this one. Now, just without pushing it down too far, just bring that across. Make sure your borders are nice and level around. And I've got it just to the edge of the DSP here. And this around here is level, like even border around there. And just pop that down flat. And you'll see it's level with the score line. It's not going to stop you closing the card underneath. Like so. I love, love, love that one. Then the back panel, we have just this white panel. I haven't decorated this. I thought I'd leave it blank. I could have put some little dotty bits on, but that's okay. You can decorate the back if you wish. I did decorate the back of this one just with some little dots. This one's cut out with the decal rectangle dies. It's one of the a little bit bigger ones, so it gives me a bit more writing space. I'll just evenly put that on the back. Not everyone likes writing messages on the back of a card, but sometimes that's the only option you've got. But then it allows your front of your card to be all nicely decorated without your handwriting on it. So that's my card, and I've got some embellishments. I thought I'd use these little gold adhesive back dragonflies and birds. I thought I might use some of the birds, seeing we've already got birds on it. And I shall get my pick tool. I'll just get a couple of birds scattered around. Not sure where I want to put them, but we'll work it out. And another one over this way. Tip him around. I'll do 5. We'll go some in the other direction. That will be enough. And that is my card for today. Pop up and pull out fun fold card. I hope you like that. That's my original. I did do this one at a class. The girls found it quite easily. And also one of the girls decided to do it as a Christmas card for someone. I think it was a Christmas card or some friend that she was going to do the same layout. So have a go at that one. I hope you like that. And I shall catch you all again next week. Thanks for joining me today, and have a lovely week. Bye for now.